嗨，大家好，我是来自英国的戴淑萱。今天我要来分享英国人在家里的习惯，因为我听说过有些亚洲人说，他们认为英国人在家的习惯可能有点奇怪。如果你有不同的看法，在下面可以留言告诉我们。如果感兴趣的话，也可以加入我们的社区 The English with Susie Community， 在那边我们会多讨论这个话题，我会给你一些作业、一些功课，可以帮你提升你的英语能力。所以这个星期我们的话题是在家里的习惯 ，house habits or habits in the house。
So the first thing is eating from our lap. Have you noticed that English people maybe eat from a tray or just out of their hands, like sit on the sofa and eat their dinner? I would say, yep, definitely that's something that a lot of British people do, myself included. If I'm feeling lazy, I won't actually eat at the table. I might take my food to the sofa, maybe even watch TV while I'm eating. So I didn't realise that that might be weird in your culture. What do you think? Is that a strange thing to do? For all of these things, it does really depend on the person and on the family. I know that some families are really big on we have to eat at the table and they won't eat in the living room. But in my family, it's pretty chilled. You can kind of eat wherever you want. Even in your bedroom, I wouldn't do that because I don't like food in my room. But yeah, it's not unusual for people to eat in their bedroom or in the living room and not at a table. We actually have dinner trays, which are specially for eating in the living room. So you can just put that tray on your lap and then eat from there. Another thing related to food is maybe that we don't share food so much. People do kind of prefer to have their own meal and will not really offer anyone else some of their food and won't expect anyone else to ask for some of their food unless it's like a sharing type of situation. Now, I'm someone that likes to eat everything and particularly try everything. So sometimes I would cheekily ask for like some of my friends' food, but that's not really that commonly done. I do really love that about most other cultures' food actually, the fact that you can share everything. It's expected that there's a big table with lots of different options and you can take what you want and share it with each other. It seems like a much better way of being able to have a variety of food on the table. And also it's probably better for waste because then you can save the leftovers for the next day because other people haven't touched that food with their dirty fork. So I do really like that about other cultures' food. The next thing is wearing shoes in the house. I know that lots of Asian people have said, oh my God, British people wear shoes in the house. And if you say this to most British people, like, do you wear shoes in the house? They're probably going to say, I don't know, maybe sometimes if I need to, like quickly go back in and get something. Most people wouldn't just walk around all day with their shoes on because it's uncomfortable and dirty for the floor. But you might find that there's a much more relaxed culture about that here. So when I was in China, I noticed that people were quite, serious about the slippers. They'd give me guest slippers. And if I didn't wear them, people would be like, oh my God, where are your slippers? Put your slippers on. And kind of shocked that I was walking around with just my socks on. But it wasn't until coming back to England and hearing Asian people's perspective on this that I realised, oh, okay, this is quite a big deal. This is a big difference. Some people have even said that they see people walking barefoot in the house in the UK. I personally would never do that. I've seen it happen once or twice, but I personally don't like it. And most people don't like it, especially like in the kitchen or the bathroom because it's cold wooden flooring. And then lots of Chinese people to me have said that they think British people wear shoes in bed. I don't know what that's about. Okay, I've never seen anyone wear shoes in bed. Yeah, that would be really weird. So just forget that from your mind. I don't think that's a British thing. The third thing that you might find weird about British houses is the fact that there's carpet on the floor in many rooms. Now, the reason for this is because it can get quite cold here. So to save money on heating and to just make the place feel cozier and warmer, it's been the tradition to have carpeted floors. In very old traditional houses, you'll actually find carpet sometimes even in the bathroom or in the kitchen, but that's pretty rare these days. Modern houses would not do that, I think for hygiene reasons. And I think that's why Asian people were quite shocked by this because they think, oh my God, that's disgusting. It hasn't been cleaned properly. How can you properly clean a carpet? And I do really understand what you're saying. Like if you make a mess on a carpet, it's much harder to clean it than a wooden floor or like a laminated floor because first of all, you can't see that there's all the bacteria and dirt collecting there. But we do have something called carpet cleaners. So devices that are specially for cleaning carpets. Sometimes you have to rent them. And so it won't happen very often that you'll deep clean your carpet like that. I think many people do still prefer to have carpet in their bedroom at least because it has that kind of cozy, warm feeling and it's like nice and soft for your feet. So jury's out on that one. I think it's kind of half and half these days as to whether people prefer to put carpet or laminated flooring in their bedrooms. but more and more downstairs areas like living rooms are having laminated flooring. Next, you might have noticed that in British houses there are radiators and no air conditioning. That might be another big kind of cultural difference. The radiators actually function by pumping hot water from the boiler through the house in these sort of tubes, and that's what heats the room. Because it gets so cold here, without radiators, it's going to be really cold and horrible. So every house will have radiators in. But what most buildings don't have yet is air conditioning. In the last couple of years, the summers have been so hot. I think we're going to have to start installing air conditioning. I mean, honestly, last year I was just so hot at night that you can't sleep. And even with a fan, it's too warm. So because of global warming, potentially houses are going to start to be fitted with air conditioning, in my opinion. Another strange thing about British houses that you might have noticed is that sometimes there's a separate cold and hot tap. That will only be in the sort of old traditional buildings again. That's because in the past, they wanted to keep the cold water and the hot water separate so as not to contaminate the fresh, cold drinking water. I 100% agree that it's really, really annoying, and I hate when houses have the separate cold and hot tap, because like, what are you supposed to do? Just like jump your hands between each, you know, if you're trying to wash your face, you've got to go quickly like, too cold, too hot, and it's like really stressful. I've never actually understood how to do that. You mix the water in the bowl and create like warm water out of cold and hot, and then use that to wash your face. But what about when you're brushing your teeth? I don't know, it's horrible. So I totally agree. That's a really annoying thing about British houses. But again, the modern houses don't have that. Okay, I think I'm gonna leave it there for today actually, because there's someone making a weird sound next door and it's getting cold and dark. So I'm gonna go inside. There's 5 left that I want to tell you about, but let's save it for another time. If you have anything that you want to say or share about these 5 things, then let us know down below and join my community so you can learn more about British life. See you soon. Bye.